We are back to Dark Crisis, and I am very much behind because I had a cold and I took a week break, so I fell behind on this series. So this is issue 4, when issue 5 is already out. This series has been renamed Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, which at first I had mixed feelings about, but after reading this issue, I must say, it does live up to it. I will say that. Even if I think it's just a little bit, just kind of dipping your toes in the idea of copying something, because I know Crisis on Infinite Earths is also DC. It's not like you're copying somebody or stealing something, but I think the names are just not as original as it could be. And in all fairness, I think Dark Crisis also isn't as original as it could be, but Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths is very clearly a nod to the famous storyline of Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths. Anyways, I still think it still lives up to it, even if I think the title itself is just, like I said, a little unoriginal. This issue starts with Hal Jordan back in the John Stewart's fake world, where these fake lanterns, which includes a fake Kyle Rayner, we learn actually think that Hal Jordan is Parallax. Hal tries to fight them off, but he doesn't really win due to the fact that he has no ring, but luckily Barry Allen comes in saving his life. Barry explains that Pariah is doing this really weird thing with Justice League's thoughts, creating these weird whole imaginary worlds for them to live in order to power up his weapon. Also, side note, when we're being told this, we see bubbles of different Justice League members and what they're doing. So I'm really confused if that is Green Arrow and Black Canary are weirdly sharing a world. They don't share a mind, so why are they sharing a world? I mean, I know it's a bit of a nitpick, and I'm totally fine with it because I really like Green Arrow and Black Canary together, but why are they the only ones paired up? Because they don't share a mind, they're not the same person. The explanation doesn't really make much sense compared to the fact that Green Arrow and Black Canary are two separate people, so they should not be in the same world unless they have the exact same wants. Which, I mean, they could, but I don't buy it. Barry reveals to Hal Jordan that he believes there's someone who can help them, so he runs Hal away and we cut to the Hall of Justice, where Damian Wayne and Wildcat, John Kent, Donna Troy, Oracle, and Mr. Terrific are grouping together, talking about how they believe that not only did the Dark Army kill the Justice League, but are somehow tied in with Deathstroke. And we also see panels of the heroes just being heroes. Supergirl and Power Girl saving a plane from crashing, Jade and her brother Obsidian team up Red Hood to help earthquake survivors, Lusandra Kane, who's in the wrong outfit for this time period, spoiler, Camille Hoshi, and Ilana Montez are visiting a child cancer patient hospital. Cyborg comes into the room to tell them that their best solution right now is to just hope for the best, as despite all the brains in the room between Cyborg, Mr. Terrific, and Oracle, none of them can think of a way to get out of this Dark Army. As whatever's coming is coming, and it's coming fast, and they can't stop it. We cut to Beast Boy in the hospital, still in a coma, while Nightwing sits by his side, feeling guilty for not being able to prevent him from getting nearly killed by Deathstroke. But he's not there alone. Alan Scott's by his side, explaining to him that Alan once went to watch with Dick's parents at a circus before Nightwing was born, explaining that they were fearless. Now Nightwing's a step up with no Batman in sight, and that the new and old heroes must band together to be able to join forces into becoming not just a society or a league, but a team. We cut over to the Legion of Doom, who are listening to Black Adam's wager, but Grodd isn't really into the idea of trusting Black Adam, while Punchline and Cheetah are getting to their own little argument, due to Punchline being among the much younger generation of villains. Although I'd argue Cheetah is pretty new too, as this is Barbara and Minerva, who's from the late 80s. Other members we see include Lex Luthor and Captain Cold, but I'm a bit surprised Captain Cold doesn't want to help, as he's always been more of an anti-hero type. A character who's more on a level of Catwoman's, as he has a code that he doesn't kill. But as a bicker, the Legion of Doom's headquarters is attacked. Grodd is the first one to be taken out, while Captain Cold and Lex Luthor are separated from the rest of the group. We see that Deathstroke's forces are the ones that are at the door, being controlled by the darkness, as they're finally the ones attacking. The consists of Deathstroke, Phobia, Super Banshee, Multiplex, Firefly, Prometheus, Dr. Phosphorus, Shrapnel, the Bug-Eyed Bandit, Cupid, and a handful of others who I can't tell. I think one is Finn? Might be Finn. I'm not entirely sure it's a fish guy, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Finn. As the fight starts between the two groups, we cut back to space where Joe and Kyle are fighting Pariah's forces, who actually say that he's tricking Barry Allen, as they're somehow being tricked into order to speed up the process of whatever is happening. Because apparently Pariah is planning on using the Justice League's power to somehow create a new multiverse, and by Barry and Hal jumping between all these different worlds, he's actually manipulating them to power it faster, which is kind of ironic, and I don't understand how that works, But I'm going to take Pariah's word for it, and I do think that's a pretty smart idea to force or trick Hal Jordan and Barry Allen into actually speeding up the process. And we cut to Barry and Hal entering Batman's world, where Barry explains Bruce here is very different, as he's very gear-like steampunk gear-like. They run into Batman, who's unaware of what's happening, so he starts a fight with Barry. We then go to Alan Scott leading in brand new Trinity down a staircase to a magical home who I think is Spectre or Zatanna. Well, Zatanna is dead at the moment, so I guess it's not Zatanna. This Trinity is Nightwing, John Kent, and Yara Flor. Nightwing is Batman, John Kent is Superman, and Yara Flor is Wonder Woman. Of course, Nightwing is still Nightwing, and Yara Flor is still Wonder Girl, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're implying here. They make some banter on their way down, which kind of makes me want to see these three team up again, because I really think they have a very interesting banter. And Yara seems to be much more comfortable than other characters, being somewhat magic herself, while John seems very vulnerable. They're welcomed by Detective Chimp, who's upset over Zatanna's death, before being led by Constantine to a table full of magic users, explaining they all felt the darkness arrive, and that it is indeed controlling Deathstroke, confirmed by Swamp Things, as there's two now, Alec and Levi, which if you're not reading the current Swamp Thing comic, then I'm sorry, but I'm not explaining this because it's a lot and it's confusing. And in all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there myself, and I read it. Although, no hate towards Levi, because I actually really think he's a cool character. It's just really confusing. We go back to the villains. Silver Banshee's taking out Sinestro pretty easily, which proves my point from last issue when I said that Silver Banshee is a threat, as Damian Wayne, for some unknown reason, calls her a low-level threat. But we also see that Lex sees things aren't going well for him, and he has one last plan: attack Deathstroke, who is the head. We also see a panel of Batman's world getting red skies, which feels very out of nowhere, because it's one panel in the villain fight. But things go weird. The Legion of Doom starts to be infected with the darkness, except for Black Adam. So I understand why they showed that panel. It just felt very off. We also then cut to Mr. Turk back at the lab, seeing that something is wrong. And Read the Darkness is on Earth now, with panels of Pariah saying he finally won as a new multiverse is born. Now this issue was a lot, it's a lot of a lot. I thought it was actually my favorite issue of the entire series so far. Despite only having merely 29 pages, including ads, it really packed a lot. The Justice Society, the Hal and Barry plot, the new Trinity, Mr. Terrific, the Legion of Doom, Justice League Dark. Honestly, it was impressive. While I wish I could go over every character like usual, there's just way too many to go over. So I'll just say a couple of my favorites, or who I thought stood out. Alan Scott, who I thought had a great attitude of legacy. Instead of seeing it as a whole boomer way of seeing it, how that the new generation's ruining everything, he saw a passing of a new generation as more or less important, and I thought his advice on Nightwing was very bold. I really liked the way he saw the new generation of heroes. They didn't see it as just the whole passing of a torch, of a helping hand, that the old generation has to help the new generation to be what they're going to become, be better than the old one. And in my opinion, that's a great attitude just in life. Yara Flor, while not a main character, she in my opinion really stood on the panel she was in, with a commentary on the House of Mystery, and a friendly-like manner, as it didn't come across as rude nor corny, but realistic, making her come across as a real person. Nightwing, another favorite of this issue, although I don't understand his logic of why he feels the way he does over Gar getting hurt, it is very in character for him to think everything is his fault, something that Alan Loki called out. And in my opinion, Nightwing brought a lot of heart to this issue and really was the most emotional character in this issue of the series. In fact, I would say the entire series. I just really like Nightwing, and I thought he was great here. And finally, Lex Luthor, who in my opinion was the best in the Legion of Doom fight. Well, I'm getting tired of Black Adam and Deathstroke being everywhere. I thought every single one of Lex's quips was a breath of fresh air. It was arrogant, but not annoying. And in my opinion, it really worked. I also want to give shoutouts to Punchlines, Silver Banshee, and Captain Cold, as I thought they really stood out in the battlefield of the villains. Not as much as Lex Luthor did, but pretty close. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.